Shalom, everyone. It is almost afternoon. Hope everyone is doing well. Give me a few minutes. I just need to check on something here. Let me see how to. I want to make sure that the system is working right. Okay. So I want to bid a shalom to the bride of the Messiah, a shalom to the 144,000, and a shalom to the nation of Israel. Now, what y'all see here before you is, I love this picture here, because it's kind of hard to find a true picture that represent Cain and Abel in the way the Most High made them to be according to his image. So I love here how you see a picture of what Cain offered unto the Most High. What Abel offered to the Most High versus what Cain offered unto the Most High. And now we're about to tap into a mystery, because Abel was given the greater understanding of these offerings, or why we offer them since the beginning. Now, those who are new to the channel, I bid you a shalom, and I want you to check the video description box for there's the link in the book that we should go in today. The book that we're in today will be the Sealed Book of Mormon. Now, this book is different from the Book of Mormon. Okay, the reason why I recommend for you to read this, it will show the truth and give you the understanding that the Book of Mormon comes from an Israelite of the 10 lost tribes. In other words, his lineage was sent unto the 10 lost tribes to preach unto them the gospel. Okay, so this is where I recommend for you to read the Sealed Book of Mormon first before going into the other books, and for it would give you greater understanding. Okay, so now let me change my screen out. Now I'm going to bring up the title page to go over the title in this video. Okay, so the title of this word today is Cain and Abel mirrors Esau and Jacob. How Satan bewiled the sons of Adam to become the sons of Satan. And let me correct this right here. It took me a while to come up with this title, my brothers and sisters, because the original title I had came up with was just too long. So this is why you see in the video description box and also on the screen what I have below was the original title would have include Cain and Abel mirrors Esau and Jacob. The sons of Adam succumbed to the wiles of the devil, which removed the adopted sonship and make them a son of Satan. So both are saying the same thing. So in your spare time, to get an understanding of the title, I want you to read on your own 1 John chapter 3 and 1 John chapter 4, because again, these things are spiritual messages. You cannot come carnal in them. Again, when you look at some of the doctrines of the Gentiles, they had erred greatly looking at the color of one's skin and not seeing what the spirits say in the scriptures. Okay, which brings us to this. When you have some spare time on the channel, there are other videos for you to watch, such as the Fifth New Moon Report. I also release in that month of a spiritual mystery that we also tie in the other months that was prior to the 5th month, and hopefully according to the Most High will, I will do a word on that so we can review all the spiritual messages that was given in from the 1st month all the way up. Okay, because the Most High is speaking volumes now. Most importantly, to understand about the adopted sonship and the status of Adam, I highly recommend that you watch the video titled The Meaning of the Bride and the 144,000 Israelites, going back to the status of Adam. Again, all of these preachings are to give you the whole picture and a greater understanding of what we shall go in today. Also, the Most High has given us another part to our sister who was named Love for All, for she had a dream, and part 3 was just put out there, and it was titled as "The Adopted Sonship Shall Lead One to Find the Kingdom of Yah." The adopted sonship shall lead one to find the kingdom of Yah. Again, these are mysteries to give you understanding, Israelites and Gentiles, of the way of finding the kingdom. I'm sorry, my tongue getting twisted. It's to give you great understanding of the way of to finding the kingdom. And I bid a shalom to those who just came on. Shalom, shalom. All right. And last and most, and lastly, what shall be coming out? Yes, I'm working on it. I had to go before the Father for him to give me what direction to go with this upcoming word. But it will be coming out soon. I don't know when, but it will be. It is the mystery of the Book of Mormon, the misinterpretation of the Gentiles which deceive the Israelites. And with that word, the only thing I want to say with that word coming out, your mouth is going to drop again. All things come by the Spirit. And only if you are of the Spirit, you will see what the word was saying that the Gentiles misinterpret. And this revelation will break the wall that has been keeping Israelites from reading the books of Mormon. And Mormon is not a church or not a group of people named after Mormon or seemingly named after Mormon. Mormon is an Israelite. And when you understand who he is and why these sacred books was given to the 10 lost tribes, Israelites, then you will understand that these are your books for you to read. Just as they have done in the King James Version, they have also done it in these books. And you need to have the Spirit of Yah to see what is true and what the heathen added to the word. Again, if you just look at the King James, you will see what the heathen added, such as they added the word Easter. If you look at the word Easter, the Strong Concordance, you know it means Passover. So that's what I'm saying unto you. Do not allow what the heathens may have added or what they misinterpret to keep you from reading the Most High Sacred Word, because now it has been revealed unto us, Israelites and Gentiles, that we are in part 2. And it's very important that we know about part 2 because it's dealing with the events that is happening now in the world to prepare us for what is coming. All right. And as far as the opening verse, I like to read this verse again. I love this verse because I know eventually I will expound more on this verse, but it says this. Yahushua said, "It is I who am the light, which is above them all. It is I who am the all. From me did the all come forth, and unto me did they all extend. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." That comes from the Gospel of Thomas, verse 77. You can find that gospel on sacredtext.com, and it's free unto you. This is a beautiful verse to meditate on. Okay, now let us begin and get to the nitty-gritty. But before I get there, for again, those who are new, I do have a channel because, like I said, I go to a lot of deep things, and some things you might not understand or what I say in this video. Therefore, there are other videos on the channel that will go in depth and thoroughly so you can get the full understanding of what's being preached in this video. So let me just pull up the channel right quick. Okay. Shalom, shalom to those who just came on. Had some technical difficulties. Pray that we can get through this word. Sorry about that. Hold on for 1 sec. I do want to make sure. No, something don't do that. I know what it is. It's where I'm at. Sometimes the internet connection can drop. So if there are interruptions with this word, and I feel like I can't get it all of it out, what I may do is come back another day and do it. But right now we're going to keep going forth. Okay. Now let me put up my channel for you. So those who need more information on the things that I'm preaching unto you, there are videos on the channel to break things down for you. You can also email me for those who have more questions. Okay, so on the channel, like I said before, there are videos. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, that you can watch, especially with the playlist. There are 3 playlists that are listed in the video description box. The most important one is Yahuwah prophetic messages. I'm sorry, our Father in heaven has spoken this day, y'all. He has given us instructions, Israelites and Gentiles. So it's very importantly that you hear the Most High prophetic messages, and his messages are listed on the channel page. It's titled as Yahuwah messages. He is speaking not only to Israelites but as well to Gentiles. Remember, we are under the covenant. What goes for the Israelite is also go for the Gentile who takes on hold with the covenant with us. Okay, so in the playlist, the first 7 videos is what I want you to listen to, and to print out those messages and share those with your brothers and sisters. Also on the channel, I do discuss about the Most High calendar, also about salvation, and many other things as well. Okay, so it's a ton of bread to feast upon on, so you can get the full understanding on what I'm preaching unto you. Okay, so let me change out screen, and now let us get to the nitty gritty. Okay, let me pull this up. Now we're going to the Sealed Book of Mormon. Okay, while that's pulling up, let me make that a full screen, and let me take the banner off for now. Okay. So today we are going to, let me see what chapter we're going today. We're going back to chapter 3. Chapter 3 had a lot of good information. In chapter 3, we learned about Satan, how he got into his fallen state. Then we learned about our foreparents, who are Adam and Eve, and we learned about their state they was in before they fell. And now today we're going to look at Cain and Abel. I like to start with the eldest brother first and then follow with the youngest. Because when we look at their relationship, it does mirror between Esau and Jacob. Remember, I said that to understand the what is and the what yet to come, you have to understand the what was, because you can see history repeating itself all over again. Okay. So today we're going to chapter 3. I'm going to be reading verse 25 through 50 today, and it starts on page 30. Okay, so we'll start on page 30. All right, Sealed Book of Mormon, chapter 3, starting at verse 25. It was then that Cain, the firstborn of Adam, induced by the cunning of the devil, began to create dogmas concerning the designated seed, so that their symbols would serve as signs for the future generations of the sons of Adam, with the purpose of generating hope for a future restoration of what had been lost by his parents in Eden. So again, this first verse is telling us about Cain, who was the firstborn of Adam. Okay. And you have to understand how Satan works, how he can come into somebody's heart and convince them to transgress against our Father in heaven. Because once Satan was able to do this with Cain, notice that he created dogmas. And when you look up the word dogmas, it means a point of view or tenet put forth as authoritative without adequate grounds. In other words, the Father did not give him those doctrines to give unto the sons of Adam. It has no ground to stand upon of. He does not come in authority of the Most High Yah, and those doctrines he is preaching of a falsehood, they cannot be validated. It also goes on to say that with dogmas, a doctrine or body of doctrines concerning faith or morals. Okay, so this is what Cain created himself, according to what Satan put in his heart. All right, so what he created was doctrines that was dealing with the designated seed. Now, this designated seed that is talking about is dealing with the Messiah, who is the Son of God. He is the second Adam. And in Hebrew, we would say his name is Yahusha. Now, Yahusha means I am he that saved, I am he that delivers. Okay. And we know through the promised seed, he is to what bring us hope, to restore us what we lost. When y'all just meditate on that, this is why I say unto y'all, we have to understand what is the status of Adam. What is the Messiah's? What is the Messiah will redeem us back to that we lost in the beginning? I get tickled because again, it goes back. If you understand the what was, then you will understand the is and what yet to come. Okay, beautiful thing. All right, let us keep reading. Okay. Because of the divine decree imposed on the descendants of Adam, that the soil had been cursed and that man would have to work hard so that with the sweat of his face he will reap his reward. Cain proposed then that the fruits of the earth would be the symbol of the designated seed, and every time one was going through the painful process of plowing, sowing, and cultivating the soil, he would be aware symbolically of the promised descendant and remember the cursed state of the children of man. So again, what Cain presented, it sounds good, don't it, y'all? It sounds real good that he would use the fruit of the earth or the produce of the earth to represent the promised seed. But again, it was not ordained by the Father to have it as a symbol unto the sons of men. Okay. Again, do y'all see how things can work in the sons of Adam? A lot of times they may come forth with you with doctrines and it sounds so good and it has good and it may appear to have good intentions, but at the end of the day we must inquire, Yah, what is your instructions, Father? What are the things you put in place that symbolize or represent or foreshadow your son? Okay, let us keep reading verse 27. But at the end of work, with the gratification of the harvest, the children of Adam should, in accordance with the dogmas taught by Cain, burn some fruits in the field to fulfill the word of God, as the purpose of always remembering his promised descendant. Okay, again, you see Cain giving his own set of instructions, okay, on how they should remember the promised descendant that is to come, that shall restore them back to their status that they lost. Okay, verse 28. In this way, then, according to the precepts of Cain, similar to what happens with the crop that after much labor brings its reward, in the end, the children of Adam will have their reward through the appointed seed. Okay, like I say, he's giving us some good analogy, right? especially with us laboring when we have to farm or when we're dealing with agriculture. Because when you look in Genesis chapter 2, what was the role or the function that our Father in heaven gave unto Adam? He was what? To sow the earth. Okay. All right, we're going to read verse 29 now. Abel, on the other hand, as he has since childhood the craft of gathering together in flock a reasonable number, cows and sheep and birds, in order to facilitate their task of milking milk every day, and having eggs for food and wool for making blankets and clothing, did not come to know the field, and with that put in controversy the sacred ordinances imposed by Cain to the future descendants of Adam. So now we're seeing what Abel gift or what his craft was within the earth. He was the opposite of his brother. Okay, you might say he was what's a person like a watchman? No, he was like a shepherd. Okay, over these certain types of animal that he kept. Now his brother, he was what? A farmer. All right. So now we can see differences between them two. Kind of remind you about Esau and Jacob. Esau was a hunter. Now we just learned from the lesson dealing with what I'm trying to remember what video it was in, but we was learning about Nimrod, y'all. And in that lesson, we know it gave us the true definition of what hunter is. Okay, so if I find that video, I'm going to tag it to this video in the letter I, so you can have a great understanding about Nimrod and what hunter means, because it will relate to our brother Esau. Okay, now when we look at his brother Jacob, you know, Jacob was what? A shepherd. So we can see the relationship between these two sets of brothers. All right. Now verse 30. Excuse me, y'all. I have a cat here that wants some attention. All right. Moreover, as the prophecy mentions that the serpent's offspring would injure the heel of the offspring of the promise, Abel concluded that this should be a bloodshed on the part of the designated seed. For in the original of his Edenic dialect, God's correct pronunciation to the serpent would be to bleed the heel rather than to hurt. And for this reason, Cain went unnoticed when he formulated his dogmas upon prophecy. Y'all want to highlight that for those who have a copy of the Sealed Book of Mormon. If you don't, there is a PDF link provided in the video description box where you can print it out. But now you begin to see how Abel was interpreting the true meaning of Genesis. I think it's chapter 3, verse 15, dealing with what our Father in heaven told unto Eve and unto the serpent. So now we'll enter into a deeper mystery about Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. So I do want to read this part again so you can focus and hear what this part is saying unto us. And before I do that, let me go ahead and get Mr. Buster out, because he gonna want attention and I don't want to be disturbed. Hold on, y'all. All right, Buster, come on. You are heavy. All right, I'm back. So, verse 30. Moreover, as the prophecy mentions that the serpent offspring would injure the heel of the offspring of the promise. So, as written in Genesis, I think it's chapter 3, verse 15. But just in case, let me make sure I have my Bible here with me, that I'm giving you all the right verse. Yep, that's it. Thank you, Father. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. So here we know the verse said that the serpent would injure the heel of the offspring of the promise. Okay, so we know the serpent represents Satan, and we know the promise or the seed represent the Messiah. Okay, so it goes on to tell us that Abel concluded that this should be a bloodshed on the part of the designated seed. Okay, for in the original of his Edenic dialect, God's correct pronunciation to the serpent would be to bleed the heel. So instead of injuring the heel, according to the language of Abel, which was Edenic language dialect, according to that language, it should have said that the serpent would bleed the heel, which makes sense. Think about what the Messiah did for us upon the cross. Okay, but we know the hidden one behind the scene who stirred up the Jews, the Israelites, to crucify the anointed one was Satan. He was the one working behind the scenes. Okay, so that would make sense. So the serpent would be to bleed a heel rather than to hurt. For this reason, Cain went unnoticed when he formulated his dogmas upon prophecy. So in other words, the children of Adam didn't pay attention or did not receive what Cain was preaching unto them. Okay, now let's go on to read. With this in mind, Abel proceeded to formulate doctrines based on the original context described by his father Adam in the Edenic language, which would be to the nation of Israel in the days when Moses described this account. The equivalent of the word sacrifice, which means office of bleeding. Again, when you look at the Messiah, what he represents, does he not hold the office of becoming our sacrifice? Okay. All right. Which means, okay, we go back and look at the word sacrifice. Sacrifice, which means office of bleeding. Already in the original of the language spoken by the Hebrews in his day. Sacrifice means bleeding, which comes from the word which I, Mormon, know in the Nephite language as being sacrament. Okay, that is, the sacrament traces the will of the Lord from the beginning of time in order to always remember the designated seed, which is Yahusha HaMashyach, the Messiah. Do y'all get that? I mean, do y'all see now where this word sacrifice actually stands for and how it came to be? Remember, I share this with many, whether you're Israelites or Gentiles. I share this with you. There are still biblical prophecies in Torah, in the Tanakh, in the Apocrypha, in the New Covenant, or known as the New Testament, that has still not came to their fullness. You must come in the whole volume of the book to understand what is going on now and what is coming forth. Okay, so let's look at this again. So we now come to the understanding. And when he said Eden language, it also, when we read further, we learned that it was in the language of the Hebrews. When you read the book of Jubilees, you will also learn you will learn that Hebrew is the tongue of creation. That is the language that all of the sons of Adam spoke before the Tower of Babel. Okay, and there's many proofs on this, because I'm a member of a case of a man who, I think he lost his memory or whatever, and when he came to himself, he no longer spoke his native tongue, he spoke Hebrew. This is how I know that language is embedded in us, but it has to be what's the word I'm looking for? It has to be awakened by the Spirit. Okay, that is one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, to speak in other languages. However, there is a tongue that is unknown to man. And that tongue is more discussed by the Apostle Paul. Okay. So now I'm sorry, my tongue getting twisted again. So now looking at verse 30, we're now getting the true interpretation of Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. For we have now learned that the serpent, who is Satan, will not injure the Messiah heal, but instead he will cause him to bleed, which makes sense because if a serpent bites you, what's going to come forth? Blood going to be shed. And we can see evidence of that in the gospel when the Messiah was crucified on the cross. His blood was shed, and when they stuck a spear on his side, blood and water came forth to represent the sacrificial offering, the atonement for our sins. Okay? Very deep here. I love this book, y'all, because this is going into some beautiful mysteries to put all these things together. Verse 31. Because of this, it came to pass that Abel, fulfilling the requirements of prophecy, and therefore the requirements of the law, found it improper to offer fruits of the field as a sacrifice to God. Just as Cain had to propose, because in the days when God commanded Adam to offer sacrifices on an altar, the angels who visit him said that it should be done as a symbol of the sacrifice to be made from the only begotten of the Father, and that only a blood sacrifice could in fact symbolically foreshadow this ceremony, with the purpose of always remembering. Y'all want to underline that because I'm going to elaborate on that. With the purpose of always remembering the future shedding of blood by the designated seed who will be wounded for the benefit of all men. So he can be wounded for the benefit for all Adam, all the sons of Adam. Remember the word Adam is inclusive of male and female. Okay. So when we reflect on this verse in 31, remember I said you want to underline with the purpose of always remembering. Now you're getting to begin to understand why we must keep the Father holy days. I had said this before in the past. Keeping the Father holy days, such as the new moon days, the Sabbath days, his 3 solemn feast days, and even the other days that the Israelite kept would give you the understanding of the mysteries. Okay. Not only did it foreshadow the Messiah, but it also gives us greater understanding about these biblical prophecies. And if we don't practice these things, are we not a creature that forgets? This is why our Father commanded us to practice these things. Now, under the new covenant, we now worship the Father in spirit and truth. Therefore, we are under the Messiah. So he shall teach you how to keep these holy days in the fourth beast kingdom. That is another mystery that many Christians do not understand. For when you come in the whole Bible book through the prophets such as Isaiah, Zechariah, Ezekiel, and many others, you will learn that we will keep these holy days in the new eternal kingdom. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. What was done in the old is to be done now, and it will be done in the new kingdom to come. But the mystery is that where many err, they don't know how to keep these things now because of the kingdom that we are in. They are listening to man and not the spirit. So I would give this unto you. It starts in the heart. That's where it starts at. And with all those offerings that my people offer to the Father, we know they cannot be done now. Not in this kingdom. So therefore, the Father has replaced the carnal things with spiritual things now. But what he wants you to do is to remember these days when they come forth by the signs in the heaven. You know, those 3 lights, the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth that form his calendar. So when the heaven dictates unto us when these holy days are, we are to pull our Bibles out and feast upon the living word and remember and memorize or keep a memorial of these biblical events, for we know the day is coming. We shall keep these things by our hand. Again, it starts in the heart first in order to be manifest in the physical. All right. Now let us go to verse 32. In turn, it was man himself, starting with Cain, who came to frame dogmas in order to reconnect his symbologies with the remembrance of a divine promise. As we see here, this is why when you look at all past civilizations and even now, they mirror so closely to what the Father has established originally with Adam and those that he chose of Adam to carry forth the priesthood of the gospel of the Son of God. Okay, this is why you see a close resemblance between what we preach and to what they preach. However, there would be some distinct things to let you know that did not come from our Father in heaven. That came from Satan. Okay, so again, Cain going in, he's operating in the flesh, and he's not listening to what his parents taught him. And when you read Genesis, you even see how the father even tried to talk to Cain, but Cain's heart was hardened. All right. Let us read verse 33. It happened then that God was pleased with Abel's offer and rejected that of Cain's, because he knew that disapproval would result in the sequel, that Adam's descendant would give in observing that ordinance, which foreshadowed the correct understanding of the designated seed, and thus they would not observe the decent proposed by Cain. Okay, let me get myself situated. Hold on. So what this verse is basically saying, that it was very important that the sons of Adam followed after what Abel did and not Cain, because again, this reflects the Son of God who is to come in the earth and to be the second Adam. Remember, the second Adam set the example of what the bride and the 144,000 Israelites shall become. Okay? So it's very important that the Most High could not allow the sons of Adam to follow the ways of Cain. Verse 34. Because the children of men need symbols. You got to hear this now. This is very important. Because the children of men need symbols to remain faithful to the command of God, the Lord, then accept the most coherent and faith-filled dogma in the content described in the words of his prophecy. Therefore, it was said that by faith, Abel offered God a better sacrifice than Cain. Now, that should remind you of the verse that's written in Hebrews chapter 11. So now you get understanding of why Abel offering was favored and why it came by faith. Abel understood that word, and because he understood that meaning of how the serpent shall cause, how the serpent shall bleed the heel of the promised seed to come, this is why he offered that offering. Okay. And by his faith, he attained the approval of God as a righteous man, and God himself approved his offers. Verse 35. It happened then that the priesthood of the Son of God was full in Abel. Do y'all hear that? The priesthood of the Son of God was full in Abel, but diminished in its fullness with each passing day on Cain. Now, this is something you want to highlight and underline, because it's going to give you understanding about what the title is saying to you. Okay? Because when I look at the title, it says, it's going to take a while to pull up. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes the computer can be slow. When I look at the title, okay, now I want to go blank on me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this part off. Let me take this tab. There we go. So when we look at the title of this video, what it says here, how Satan beguiled the sons of Adam to become the sons of Satan. So with reading this paragraph, I want you to pay attention and hear how this happens. because what happened then is happening now. Okay? Verse 35. It happened then that the priesthood of the Son of God was full in Abel. Okay? So this priesthood that the Father established started with Adam, that was passed down to Abel, was full in him. Okay? So the gospel was within him because of the promised one in him. Okay? But diminished in its fullness with each passing day on Cain. So this priesthood of the Son of God diminished in Cain. And with this, Cain himself came to the conclusion that the Lord looked with appreciation at the offerings of his brother while rejecting the fruits delivered as an offering to the Lord by his own hands. Now we're gonna get to the part with sentiments, feelings. Because remember, we talked about this several weeks ago, dealing with the book of the three Nephites, or how Satan can enter into one's heart now. Okay, so Cain hurting right now. He feel rejected, right? That's a sentiment. That's a feeling. So now we're gonna see what take place with Cain by him feeling this way. Verse 36. Cain therefore was incited by the devil and enticed of envy, while anger seized his senses. You want to underline that, because that is the way how Satan can come in. Okay. Verse 36. Key words you want to look at. He was incited by the devil. And because he was incited by the devil, he was enticed with envy. So the spirit of envy came upon him. Again, these spirits come from Satan. Is he not the principality of death and destruction that brings with him pride, envy, hatred, etc.? Okay, so Cain had the spirit of envy that came upon him, and when that came upon him, anger overtook him. You know how one could get so angry where when one calm back down, they can't believe that they did what they did out of anger. Like they said, most people say, well, I was not of myself. I was out of my mind. This is why it's in the book of James. It warns us about anger. I mean, it's okay to have anger, but when you allow anger to overtake you, it is a way for Satan to come into your heart and have his way with you. So whatever he whispered in your heart to do, you would do it immediately without thinking. This is why the word tells us to be slow to anger. Okay? That's in the book of James. Let us go on to read. Because Cain began to plan a way to interrupt Abel's life. Now, do you see what happens now? He was feeling rejected. Because he felt rejected, which is a sentiment, the devil was able to come into his heart, and the spirit of envy fell upon him, which led to anger to overtake his senses. And through that, he was convinced to kill Abel. He was thinking about killing his own brother. Okay? Something to really think about. This is what hatred can do if you allow it in your heart. All right, verse 37. Abel, in turn, justified the plan of salvation through the promised descendant, the designated seed, and through proper observance, correct, of the ordinance to remember that promise. So through his offering, it justified the plan of salvation. In other words, it confirmed, or it made what was given unto the sons of Adam to be right. Okay? Because, like I said, the Father had a plan since the beginning of time, before the foundation of the world, before these things came to be. Okay? He had a plan to save his children, to save Adam and his descendants. It's a beautiful thing, y'all, to see this. All right, verse 38. It was then that the Lord sought out Cain. So our Father in heaven sought out Cain, y'all. Yahuwah sought him out through an angel sent to him from Yahuwah to ease the wrath that nourished his heart. Do you see how much our Father in heaven loved Cain? He sent his angel unto him to ease what was in his heart, y'all, because he was so angry for being rejected. Let us go on to read. The messenger then told him that God the Father had not rejected him when he showed favor to his brother's offering, but he was sad that there was envy and hatred in his heart. Underline that, y'all. We just talked about that. Okay. Then Yahuwah asked him the reason for his wrath, and so soon made him understand that the things that further him away from his Creator were not in themselves their wrong form of worship, and the deceitful institution of their created ordinances with his precepts of earthly man, and that it would not be for this reason that God the Father would cease to hear his prayers, but his erroneous form of worship only removed the power of the priesthood which Adam had placed upon his head, just as he also laid upon Abel's head, who have been able to comprehend the mystery of the sacrament through an atonement for blood, which was to foreshadow the sacrifice of the descending fiance. Now you understand why they name him the descendant fiance. Remember, he is the groomsman and we are the bride, for whose painful ceremony it is required for a priestly human representative to raise his hand to take life, whose gift only God can give, and thus having to avail himself of death in that ordinance from the old covenant that would make them reflect in the shed blood of an innocent animal. And with this, the man who watched that helpless bodily animal wrenching in agony for to purify himself for his sins. Now you begin to understand why the Father in heaven commanded us to use animals, because they were innocent too, right? To show that his son is innocent, but yet he gave his life for us. He was accused of many things by the Israelites, who was the Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes, and also accused by the Herodians too. He was accused of many things that was not true. He was innocent. And because he was innocent, this is how he was able to overcome or to defeat Satan. This is why he was the first of the resurrection. He represents the Omer and the sheaf weight offering of the barley harvest. Okay. I do want to go up a little bit higher before I further read down, because notice here what the Father said unto Cain. He said, I will not cease from hearing your prayers, even though you err in the ordinance. You know, he erred in what should have been sacrificed unto the Father. He said, I will not cease from hearing your prayers. But what would happen from you because of your errors? You want to underline right in here, the form of worship that Cain was doing was causing the removal of the power of the priesthood that was laid upon his head. Do y'all see this? This is why I want you to focus on the relationship that is between Cain and Abel and Jacob and Esau, because y'all can see this. All the sons of Adam was taught about the Most High, and these things was passed on to them, but they chose to do otherwise. Therefore, you cannot get mad with no one but yourself. Okay? So we can see that what happens is when one do not follow the commandments and the instructions of God that comes from the priesthood of the Son of God, you are now causing that power that he placed in you to be removed. And once that power is removed from you, you are putting yourself in a position to become a son of Satan. As we read further on, you will see what will happen with Cain. Okay. All right. So you definitely want to underline that his form of worship only removed the power of the priesthood that was placed upon his head by his father, Adam. Okay. So both sons received this power of the priesthood. Again, who is the power of the priesthood? It is that hidden seed, or is that holy seed that is in our bowels. Read 1 John chapter 3. All things started with him, and all things shall end with him, and only through him shall a new beginning come. All things were made by him. Okay. All right. Let me see where to pick up at. So we're gonna pick up at which was to foreshadow the sacrifice of the descending fiance, for whose painful ceremony it is required for a priestly human representative. It is required for a priestly Adam representative to raise his hand to take life, whose gift only God can give, and thus having to avail himself of death in the audience from the old covenant that would make them reflect in the shed blood of an innocent animal. And with this, the man who watched that helpless bodily animal wrenching in agony for the purifying himself from his sins will have to understand in his heart, for the purpose of always remembering the future action proposed by the promised descendant, yea, Yahusha the Messiah. Again, these ordinances that the Father set in for us to keep is to what? To remind us of his Son. For we are a creature of habit. If we don't practice it, we for what? We forget it. Okay? Again, to understand these holy days and holy feast days, well, to understand the importance of keeping them, you must be under the Spirit to see what are the spiritual mysteries, the spiritual messages that these holy days have. Remember, all the prophecy in the Bible has not come in its fullness yet. Verse 39, for it was so ordained in the heavens that the power of divinity from the priesthood of the Son of God among the sons of Adam can only be maintained among men in the flesh by a strict observation of their ordinances on the earth. Do y'all hear that? You want to underline that too. Again, because when I look at my brothers and sisters who are not themselves as Christians, again, they do not have the understanding of the covenant, of the commandments, because you've been indoctrinated by the four feasts, the four feast church, who mirrors himself with the priesthood of the Son of God. They copy us, but then they put a little twist on it. They give you a truth mixed with a lie. Okay, so let's look at verse 39 again. It said it was ordained in the heavens that the power of divinity from the priesthood of the Son of God, okay, the power of divinity among the sons of Adam. So this power of divinity was among the sons of Adam, okay? And the only way that this power can be among you, you had to what? Observe the ordinances that came from heaven. Remember, all these ordinances was from our Father in heaven. Again, it was to keep us on that path of righteousness so we will not lose our adopted sonship, okay? And if we did, so we won't lose our adopted sonship, because once you lose that adopted sonship because the power no longer in you, then you will become a son of Satan. You begin to do his will, okay, his bidding. And for those who think you cannot be subjected to the powers of Satan, you don't understand what you're dealing with. For you are in the flesh. Again, you must have the power of the holy people you must have the power of the holy people to be upon you in order to resist the wiles of the devil. And this is what this book preaches about and teaches you about. because you cannot do this by your hand alone. Okay? Verse 40. However, what made Cain stay aloof from God were the feelings contrary to the star that shines in the dawn, which allowed them to take root in his heart. And finally, the full power of the priesthood lost its effectiveness to the oppositions of the feelings who grieve the Spirit of God, pushing it away from their hearts. Now, this whole paragraph you want to underline, you want to highlight, and you want to meditate on, because what happened to Cain is happening now among the sons of Adam. Okay? Because he was feeling rejected. And with this rejection, it brought forth what? Envy, hatred, okay, to come in his heart. Okay? And through these feelings that was in his heart, it would push away or it diminish the power of the priesthood. Okay? Because in this verse, it shows us that when you have these negative feelings, it would grieve the Spirit of God. Remember, the Spirit of God was implanted in Adam. Go back in Genesis, look at the makeup of Adam. He was body, which came from the earth. He was soul, which came from the breath of God. And he was spirit, and the spirit came from our Father in heaven that was implanted in him, in the midst of his body. Okay? So because of these feelings that Cain was having, because he couldn't let them go, it drove out the Spirit of God. And when you drive out the Spirit of God, then you will cause your power, then you will cause the power of the priesthood to cease from within you. Okay? Again, setting yourself up to succumb to the wiles of the devil. Okay? And we look at verse 40 again. Something also to look at is that, however, what made Cain stay aloof from God were the feelings contrary to the star that shines in the dawn. Now that's something you want to meditate on. What is that star that shines in the dawn? Kind of remind me what's written in the book of Revelation. Is he not the bright and morning star? He was going against the Son of God. He was going against the Messiah. Verse 41. All right, we'll bring this up a little bit. Okay, I had to, let me see, can I, there we go. For some reason, it's cutting off there. And that's nothing but Satan. But however, let me see what else I can do to work this out. Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to close my title page. But before I close my title page, I'm going to write down. Let me see, can I just refresh this again? Because I know me, I forget my title page. Okay. Let me try this. Sometimes you have to open up a new tab. I'm back again. Let me take this one off. Let's see here. We're going to get this going, y'all. All praise to the Most High. I guess this is a word that Satan don't want to come out, but it will. We had just stopped at verse 40, and I'm going to try to see, can I bring that screen up to give us verse 41. Just bear with me, because this is a good word, y'all. All right, let's try this again. It's going to take some time to pull up, so we're going to be patient with it. While that's taking some time to pull up, I'm going to write down my title so I won't forget. Just bear with me for a few minutes. Let's see. Cain and Abel, mirrors, Esau and Jacob. How sons of Adam. Yes, the internet is dropping, and yes, we're gonna have some faith in this. Let me see, can I delete some stuff that's in my computer? Because I know that's one of the reasons why I might be having problems. Let me see if I have anything in my recycle bin I need to get rid of. Now let me go to my folder here and pull up some other stuff. Delete some of this stuff out and see if that helps as well. Because this is a very good word for us to be reading today. Yeah, I could take this one out too. Okay, so that is done. Let me see if that helps some. Go to my recycle bin too and empty that. Okay, that is done. And we'll come back over here. Now let me see if we would pull up first before I share the screen. Let's see what it's going to do. Okay, it's coming up slowly. So let me go ahead and share my screen on that. Okay, it's coming slow. We're going to get there, y'all. Oh, let me share my screen on that. Okay. We're going to have some patience. All right. Thank you, Father. So now we're on page 32. And we're going to verse 41. Okay. There we go. Thank you, Father. Hallelujah. Praise be to Yah. Okay. Verse 41. Such sentiments led him to deliberate sin when Cain finally rejected the counsel of God and set out to murder his brother. Thus, such feelings were contrary to these which were once instituted by God to be sentiments that govern the highest celestial characteristics in the sons of Adam, and with them, righteous men in the flesh can control the priesthood of God. Okay, so we would look at here, it said what? Such sentiments, like these feelings that he had in his heart towards the Most High and towards his brother, led him to what? To sin. Okay, and because of these feelings that was in his heart, he rejected the counsel of God. He rejected what the angel told unto him. Okay, He rejected the message of the Most High Yah. So because of this rejection, he went forth to carry out what was in his heart, to kill his brother. Kind of remind you of with the relationship between Esau and Jacob, because when you look at the biblical prophecy that was given unto Rebekah, when you understand that prophecy that Jacob, which means to plant, he was to what? To replace his brother. Because when you look at Jacob characteristics and compare it to Esau characteristics, Jacob continue the priesthood of the Son of God. Jacob worshiped the Most High God. Jacob kept the commandments that was given to him by his parents, which came from the Most High Yah. However, his brother Esau did not listen, did not do our Father will. This is why the Father allowed Jacob to take the blessings, to take the eldest inheritance, because of the priesthood of the Son of God had to fall upon a lineage that is righteous. Okay? That's what I say, y'all. When we understand the beginning that starts with our father Adam, what took place with him, then you understand why our father loved Jacob and hated Esau. Why our father chose Jacob to receive the eldest inheritance. Okay? This had to do with spirit, what was in one's heart. Okay? And only our Father in heaven can see whom you have joined yourself with, or what spirit is attached to you in your heart. Okay? This is why I tell y'all, don't get caught up in the gender wars. Don't get caught up in this color war, because I can see the hidden one behind the scene. I can see what he's doing. Okay? So when we learn the truth about the gospel, about the priesthood and who was placed on what head and why, then we can receive our Father instructions. Then we can understand why he chose the nation of Israel to carry forth his will in the earth. You understand what I'm saying? Then we can see why he chose the nation of Israel for the promised seed to come through. Okay? It was a reason behind everything. And we have to come out of these feelings or these sentiments that Satan can plant in our heart. And we need to seek our Father in heaven for his understanding. Ask him, but why these things are the way they are, Father? Give me your understanding. Give me your thoughts. Give me your ways so I can understand where you are coming from. See, we got to get real with the Father on this. Okay? Because if we don't have that relationship with our Father, then you're going to believe the lies of Satan. Satan going to have you deceived, and have you think that the Father don't love you. Okay? That he going to have you thinking that the Father prefer a certain type of people. Okay? So you cannot fall into those lies. And the only way not to fall into it, y'all, it starts with what? Receiving salvation. Receiving the new covenant. Because once you receive the salvation and the righteousness of God, which is Yahusha HaMashyach, the Messiah, once you receive him, he shall lead you to all truths, and he shall teach you all things. And through his teaching, you shall be set free, y'all. We shall be set free from the powers of darkness. We shall be no longer under their lies anymore. Therefore, we should have love in our heart and not hatred in our heart. We should have joy in our heart and not bitterness in our heart, despite what the world do unto us. That is the level that our Father in heaven needs us to be, to see beyond what your carnal eyes see, but to see with the spiritual eyes. All right, let us keep going. Okay. So looking at verse 41, it says, such feelings were contrary to these, which were once instituted by God to be sentiments that govern the highest celestial characteristics in the sons of Adam. And with them, righteous men in flesh can control the priesthood of God. Okay? So these feelings that are contrary, they was once established by God to be sentiments to govern us, to be sentiments to govern the highest celestial characteristics in the sons of Adam. Okay. So with these feelings, y'all, that we have within us, we need to inquire our Father in heaven, are these feelings of you, or are these feelings of Satan? Because how you will know certain feelings will produce certain fruits. He's telling me to remind you to read Galatians chapter 5. For if a certain feeling bring a fruit of the spirit of darkness, then you know that feeling not come from him. But if a certain feeling bring forth a fruit of the spirit, then you know that comes from him. Okay? Let us keep reading. Verse 42. Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry, y'all. I believe now I know what the problem is. I'm going to have to clean some things out of my computer because it's saying that the memory's low. And for some reason, I run this program. Um, it needs some of my computer memory to run. So that's probably one of the reasons why I'm having some problems. And I do apologize. But we're going to get through this lesson by the power of our Father in heaven. All right, I'm going to try to share my screen again. Okay. I guess they don't want to do that. Let me go ahead and take off my title page and see if that helps. I do want to keep my picture so we can go back and reflect on that at the end of this word. All right, y'all, we're going to pray. In the name of Yahushua HaMashyach, bless us that the other screen can be shared. Bless us that the other screen can be shared. so your people can see your word and follow along. In the name of Yahusha HaMashyach, so be it. All right, let's go try this again. Oh, thank you, Father. Okay. So it won't let me share my screen, and I'm going to try to work on my laptop so the memory won't be so bad. But for those that have access to the link, I want you to click on the link of the book of the Sealed Book of Mormon, and I want you to go to page 32. Okay, so we can get through this lesson, and we're going to try to read up to 50. All right, let's begin. Okay, so we just finished reading verse 41, and now we'll go to verse 42. These same feelings were established even before the foundation of the world to interact with human sensibility. Let me say this again. These same feelings were established even before the foundation of the world to interact with the human sensibility, so that the children of men, even without the priesthood of God, can identify in the midst of their fleshy nature those good feelings that proceed from God to guide them in the way of justice and charity. Y'all, that just confirmed what we just talked about. Do y'all hear what verse 42 is saying unto us? These same feelings were established before the foundation of the world, right? Okay, so we had these feelings before we came into existence to be in the earth. Okay, so therefore, even without the priesthood of God that is in us, even without that, we can identify. Okay, make sure I'm reading this right. So the children of men can identify in the midst of their fleshly nature those good feelings that proceed from God. So we can identify what feelings come from God. Okay, and through these feelings that we know comes from Him, it shall guide us to His justice. Okay, it should guide us to have what? Charity. Very beautiful. All right, verse 43 on page 33 in the Sealed Book of Mormon. Click on that link to follow along. But since Satan has interposed in the human heart an emotional parallel that leads the children of men to confuse the noble divine feelings the noble divine feelings with the mere desires of their hearts. Do y'all hear this now? Again, here comes Satan with his stuff, but the emotions that he put in our hearts is what parallel, is opposite of the Father, right? And through his feeling, it causes us to go into a state of confusion, all right? Men end up exchanging the excellent or right motivation with regard to the pure sentiments derived from the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Oh my goodness, Father, you just confirmed what we had just said earlier ago. Sentiments derived from the fruits of the Holy Spirit that is in the gospel of the only begotten of the Father. By a fleeting sense, let me see what that noise is. Okay. By a fleeting sense of greatness in his way of feeling and thinking, which ultimately corrupts his magnificence before the heavens, desecrating his true nature in a falling and degrading condition that will lead man to a continual endeavor to satisfy his needs for happiness by a deception designed by the enemy in their hearts. Now, this whole paragraph, you want to highlight, underline, and take your time to dissect it to see what's saying. So let me go back. So we know we get some feelings that comes from heaven above. And these feelings will go in hand with the fruits of the spirit that is written in Galatians 5. Okay. But this verse go on to say, by a fleeing sense of greatness in his way of feeling and thinking, which ultimately corrupt his magnificence before the heavens, desecrating his true nature in a fallen and degrading condition that will lead man to a continuing endeavor to satisfy his needs for happiness. So, we always have this thing of a need to be happy. You want to feel happy. So what the enemy will do, he'll plant in your heart things that you would think to make you happy. Okay? By a deception designed by an enemy in their heart. So this is how the enemy can come in and lead you astray from the Father. And once he lead you straight from the Father by these sentiments that comes from him, then it will cause the power of the priesthood to cease within you, and soon the Spirit of God will not dwell in you. Therefore, you can become a son of Satan. Okay, verse 44. However, true happiness comes from within and proceeds from the light, emanating from the Holy Spirit. Oh my goodness. And not from things that temporarily fill the void that causes men to lack true knowledge in their way of feeling. Now, that's another verse, y'all, we can highlight and meditate on. It says here, true happiness comes from within, and that's true. In this world of darkness, for us who are older or who have life experience, when we look back at our life, we look at all the things that we thought would make us happy. And sometimes the Father allow us to have it, But when you have it, you still, begin to realize they don't make you happy. For example, we can look at people who win the lottery. They thought they would be so happy, but then they become so miserable. Okay, so so this feeling of being happy comes from within, because I can witness in this. There's some days, y'all, I am on cloud 10 because I can feel the Spirit of Yah within me, and I can just meditate on His goodness. I can meditate on His word and also on the prophecies, and that's what makes me happy. No matter if I have nothing, I'm still happy with Him. Because happiness comes from Him, which shall lead you to have peace, even though we're in a world that is chaotic, that we're also in a world that's full of darkness. But He who dwells in us, who is the left, who is the door to the Godhead, through them can we have happiness. Like I said, remember I said it starts within the heart. It starts from within, and then it can manifest on the outside. That is a mystery that even the wicked cannot understand, because they do so many terrible things to us, but they're like, how can they keep going? How can they keep doing? What is the first thing they think of is what is wrong with them? And then it'll lead them to ask, what is in them that makes them to keep going? Okay. All right. Verse 45. It so happened that God made Cain to know what Satan knew beforehand. So our Father made Cain to know what Satan knew beforehand, that his offspring would be rejected and would rejoice with it. See, Satan rejoiced. Okay. I'm back. All right. We're going to try to get through this word. Whew. Let me see. Okay. It should be on. Okay. We're going to go back to verse 45. In verse 45, we just learned that Satan knew that the Most High Yah would reject Cain's offering. And we also find out that Satan rejoiced behind it. For it further go on to say, further, God told many things to Cain concerning his errors and warned him about this course, that he would be accepted again by the Lord. If only he would withdraw from nourishing these evil feelings and return to do good in relation to his brother Abel. But Cain loves Satan more than God, because y'all want to underline this, because this is going on today with the sons of Adam. Whether you are Hebrew or whether you are Gentile, we can see this taking place today. But Cain loves Satan more than God, because Satan promised to serve his personal interests. But in exchange, Cain would have to make his brothers worship him, engendering secretly the devil deception together with the truth of God, in order to appear as close to the precepts that the children of Adam had received to identify the truth of the Father. Do y'all hear this now? This is why we see other religious establishments, other groups such as the Egyptologists. This is why we see their historic account is so close to the church of the Son of God. Okay. But the difference is our truth is not mixed with lies, and our doctrines come from heaven above. That is the difference between us and them. So we can see which son it took place in first. It started in Cain. A couple of weeks ago, we learned that it was passed down to Nimrod, and now we can see it manifesting in our brother Esau. Okay, because we know those nations have joined unto him, falling behind his wickedness. Okay, so we can see that evident today. So when we look at verse 46, see what Cain do? He calls his brethren to worship Satan, and they didn't even know they were really worshiping Satan. Okay, so he calls his brother to worship Satan, and his doctrines mirror very closely what was given to the children of Adam. Okay, this is something very this is a verse you definitely want to highlight and underline. And what is so sad here, we see Cain loves Satan more than our Father in heaven. But yet Satan, when we look at the verses above, Satan didn't care about Cain. Satan wanted Cain to err so he can make fun at him. Because when we read the Apocrypha, we learn that Satan is envious of Adam. So if Cain really knew Satan for who he was, then he would not have joined him. Okay, then he would not have loved him more than the Most High Yah. Okay, but because Satan gave him some things that was the desire of his heart. Excuse me, y'all. Ooh, because Satan was giving him the things of the desire of his heart, he fell for it. And this is why the Bible warned us, Israelite and Gentiles. Fear the one who could destroy your soul and the body in Sheol, which is hell. Don't fear the one who can just kill you, but fear the Most High Yah, for he has the power to destroy your body and soul in Sheol, which is hell. Okay, so when we look at what the world would give us, which comes from Satan himself, you really have to stand back and say, okay, Father, I know what they have to offer me in this world, whether it's a platform, whether it's money, whether it's riches such as gold, silver, or precious stone, whether it's a big house or whether it's a car, or it could be someone that um, you have a heart desire for, anything that is of delight unto you. When they offer you those things, you have to ask yourself, are they really worth it? Think about it. Your soul is the most valuable thing unto the Father. Why? It comes from the breath. It comes from Him. So when we look at what the world has to offer, when it comes from Satan himself, it cannot outweigh the worth, the value of your soul. Okay? This is why the Father warned us in His book, in His word, do not be of the world, even though you're in it. And you have to strengthen your faith. Okay. You have to strengthen your walk. So when you are tempted with these things, you can look the devil in his eye and say, no, you cannot buy me. Because I belong to the Father, and His Son, who He sent in the earth, redeemed me back to Him. That's who I belong to. I don't belong to you, Satan. Okay. So it saddens me to see Hebrews and Gentiles selling out for things that's going to be destroyed, y'all. I mean, the word is the word. Did He not say that He would no longer destroy the earth by water, but He would destroy it by fire? So if all these things is going to be destroyed for the anew to come in, why are we holding on to these things? Why are we holding on to these platforms, to these titles, to these office, to these positions? Why are we holding on to people that we are in love with, who mean us no good sometimes, sometimes don't mean no good. Or sometimes we place a person on place a person like an idol, okay? Why do we want to hold on to houses, to clothing, to jewelry? Do you understand what I'm saying? This is where you would be tested by Satan. Remember the book of Job. If he didn't, sorry, y'all. Remember the book of Job. If Job was not tested by Satan, why would we be any different? Job was a righteous servant of the Most High Yah. But what Job went through was to give us understanding, was to teach us something. Because through the book of Job, you will begin to understand why our Father in heaven is blessed when He gives and when He takes away. But when He takes away from you, y'all, He's setting you free from the powers of darkness. And at the same time, He's strengthening your faith. So when the devil tried to come unto you and to tempt you with the things of this world, you have the power within you to say no unto him. Oh, sis, hallelujah, praises. Thank you, sis. Okay, so we just finished reading verse 46. Then we're on verse 47. And so Satan proposed to work through Cain. Do y'all hear that? Satan was working through Cain, okay? Great signs and wonders to deceive everyone as possible, to gain an attractive power among the children of men that equates with the priesthood of the Son of God, which was given first to Adam and to his righteous offspring after him. Because just as happened to Cain, all those who choose to follow the precepts of Satan will lose the power of the priesthood. Do y'all hear that? I want you to underline that verse for those who have a copy of this book, and you can print it out. The PDF book, the PDF link is in the video description box. It says here, all those who choose to follow the precepts of Satan will also lose the power of the priesthood. Again, you got to know who that power is. He is the only one that can conquer and that can overcome Satan. He is the Son of God. He is the second Adam. And He is that holy and blessed seed that dwelt with us. This is why He say, I'm always with you, even to the ends of the world. And with this, Satan will have full power. Y'all hear that? Once the power of the priesthood leaves you, then Satan will have full power over the children of men who are deceived by their rise and priestly deception. Okay? This is how Satan can overtake you. So again, you cannot do this by your hand. If you think you can walk in this earth and not be persuaded by the powers of darkness, then you are thinking foolishly, because you don't even know what you're dealing with. For you are not in your true tabernacle. You are in a lesser vessel. You are in a tabernacle that is corruptible and that is mortal. And in this vessel, you cannot defeat him. You are flesh. Remember, it takes a spirit for a spirit. It takes a son of God for the son of heaven. Another mystery that some do not understand. All right, verse 48. It happened then that Satan swore loyalty to Cain, just as Cain swore by his own life that neither he nor his brother would rise after him in the priesthood order proposed by Satan, would reveal the secrets of this order to the righteous sons of Adam. Now you begin to see give you understanding about the Masons and their secrets and their handshake, because we learn about where these signs come from. All this comes from Satan. So after him in the priesthood proposed by Satan would reveal the secrets of this order to the righteous son of Adam. With this, Satan proposed to Cain to deliver Abel into his hands and to take possession of all his flocks and goods, and to make him supreme master in the order of the priesthood behind, whose source of powers come from the devil. Do y'all see this? The first sacrifice that was given unto Satan was his brother. Sad, because now we can see, even in the days of the Israelites, did they not sacrifice their children to Moloch, to Satan? Sad. Do you see how Satan mirrors what the Father ordained us to do? We only sacrifice animals, innocent animals, to mirror what shall happen to his son, the Son of God. But Satan perverts it and have you to sacrifice one of your own kind, have you to sacrifice your family, your brethren, your sister. That's how wicked he is. However, Cain would have to shed Abel's blood in confirmation of the covenant established with Satan. So that's how one seals that covenant with Satan. Again, he copies the Father. He do it in blood too, but it's by the blood of a sacrifice that is not permitted for us to do. Okay? Does not come by the instructions of our Father in heaven. Right? It's the opposite of our Father's instructions. 49. Happened then that after Cain deliberately disobeyed the guidance of God and consequently killed Abel, that God cursed him, saying, while Abel justifies my plan in the land to have righteous descendants of the priesthood in relation to my offspring, you, Cain, justified the offspring of the original serpent, Satan the devil, for he became a perdition to the sons of men. For he is wiser than you to deceive you, because this one was full of wisdom before there was Eden, because he existed even before the foundation of the world. And that's true. Him and the other angels were made way before us. Okay? And here we see that he is what? Labeled as a perdition to the sons of men. But this is why I tell you, you cannot deal with Satan, because even our Father in heaven let us know He is wiser than us, Adam. Okay, because when he was created with full of wisdom. And the carnal representation of Satan, like I said, an example in the earth is look at the serpent. The serpent is very wise, especially on how his trap is prey. And knows that when his trap is prey, it bends the prey according to his will, where he can feast upon him. And that's the same nature that Satan do unto you. He has his way with you, where he wraps himself around you like a serpent does, and he bends you towards his will until he can what? Feast upon you. That means have his way with you. Okay? Something else to follow what we say. Yes, this is why the Messiah said unto us to be wise as serpent but harmless as dove. Again, many of us not understanding on this hidden one who works behind the scene. We're not understanding what or whom we are dealing with. And until we understand that, then you will know the only way you can defeat him is by the promised seed. So you must receive the salvation and the righteousness of God, which is Yahusha HaMashyach. Psalms 98 and Romans 10. All right, let me read the last verse so we can close this out. And so from the dawn of time, Cain and Abel foreshadow the two priestly castes in relation to the wicked priests of my hand class and the righteous men of the priesthood of the Son of God that exists from the beginning and will exist until the end of time. Do y'all hear that? So these two priesthood was established first. The first, our Father in heaven priesthood was established first, which came upon Adam, and then it was passed on to the righteous descendants of Adam, which led to the nation of Israel. And through the nation of Israel, we had the promised seed to come that established the bride or his church to be under the order of the priest. Sorry, y'all. Under the priesthood of the order of Melchizedek that follows after the order of the Enochians. Okay. And through the Hebrews, when he scattered them throughout the four corners of the earth, within our nation, we had the elect who had the power of the holy people in them. That was to what? To draw the Gentiles, the sons of God, okay, back to him. Okay. Very deep. And now in this verse, we see that the priesthood of Satan started with Cain and how it was passed on after the flood, because again, you have to read this whole book because I don't want you to think carnal in this. It was passed on through a descendant of Ham. Okay. The Father's telling me to tell you, do not get the curse of Cain confused with Ham. Again, y'all not understanding these curses. All right. But it deals with a descendant of Ham, not because of the curse that he placed upon Cain. Has nothing to do with that. That's what the Father want to make it clear unto you. But it has to do with the heart. Remember, I was telling you about the sentiments, the feelings that Cain had. Well, that was the same with a descendant of Ham known as Nimrod. And through Nimrod, this priesthood was able to still continue, and it spread it among the sons of Noah. Okay. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed this word today, because it's still more in this chapter 3, but due to timing and due to us taking in knowledge, we have to do a little bit at a time. Okay. A little bit at a time. So I want you to go back and read chapter 3. For today, we read verse 25 through 50. Okay. But now we can see how Cain and Abel relationship mirrors Esau and Jacob relationship. For you have one son who is keeping the priesthood of Satan, known as Mahan, and you have another son keeping the priesthood of the Son of God, which is Jacob. We see Abel and Jacob being the same. Then we see Cain and Esau being the same. And through this sealed book, we have learned that that this priesthood of the Son of God was dealing with the gospel. The same thing that we have learned in the new covenant was the same in the beginning with Adam, of the promised descendant coming and redeeming us and restoring us back to the status of Adam, a mystery that many do not understand. For this mystery is only given unto the Most High's children. Okay, so I speak unto you, O bride of the Messiah, and to the 144,000 Israelites. I speak unto you because you will understand that mystery. For it is the highest inheritance one can attain. This is why the Messiah say in the scriptures, there will be those called great in the kingdom, and there will be those called least in the kingdom. But unto you, O nation of Israel, for the Father can see the hardness of your heart, and he understands why your heart is hardened. So therefore he will have mercy upon you. He shall deliver you, and he shall bring you into the wilderness. And there he shall purge out the rebels. There the powers of darkness shall not be there, or not have a way to harden your heart, because through his prophets he said that what? I would give you a new heart and a new spirit. And once you receive that, you will be in accord with him. You'll be aligned with him. And you begin to see what I see, hear what I hear. Y'all, that's going to be a beautiful time when the Messiah come back and establish righteousness in the earth. Very beautiful. Because this time, the heavens and the earth will be in one accord. It's coming. We don't have long. We don't. All right, I done said enough in this video. Make sure the people receive the salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. Baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashyach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and the apostles continue to both. And now I hope that you understand how one can become a son of Satan. For they want to remove the power of the holy people that is in you. So now that you understand how they can do it, be on your guard. Stay in his word. Pray, meditate, and fast. Because they are clever in what they do. They are like serpents. All right, my brothers and sisters, love you all. And I bid you a shalom. And I thank y'all for staying with me when I was having technical problems with this word. But as you see, our Father got it out. All right. Shalom.